if you could do everything in one node, which the way they've designed it, you can't. But if you could, I think that would take away from the game quite a bit.
Should you need a network with other nodes to accomplish high-level crafting? Yes or no? We'll start with that, and then we'll open the conversation from there. Deal?
Okay. I'll go ahead and open up then. I'll go ahead and say that, I think Mr. Noobtastic might have it just about correct. You shouldn't need to network with other nodes in order to do high-level crafting. You should be able to network with everybody within your node to do high-level crafting. But it would be smart to network with other nodes just to spread your influence and spread your products far and wide.
There we go. Yeah. The vertex is strategic.
Strategically.
Yeah, going last is a good strategy. I think that's what I'd like to do, But I think, what they've said is that you need to. There's only one Grandmaster station at a stage 6 node, and there's only 5 stage 6 nodes, and then the stage 5s I think have 2 Grandmaster stations. So that kind of means what they're going for is you do have to network with other nodes, right? Even though you might have all the Grandmaster crafters in your node, they're still gonna have to travel to other nodes to get the crafting benches.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got to network in that regard. And I think that if you look at Ashes, everything is kind of pushing people towards traveling the world and having to trade with other nodes and not being able to do everything you want in one area because regionalized resources and everything is regionalized. And so, even the glint system makes you want to travel further to get more for your glint, right? The commodities you get with the glint. So I think there has to be limitations because you can't have a situation where you constantly are just traveling and nobody likes that. So they have to find that balance.
Right. I'd agree with that.
I also agree with that. I not only should, I'm excited for the possibilities of what that would mean to be able to travel the world, make these contacts, and learn more about areas not within my own node.
What do you think, Killer?
I'm still very new to the whole Ashes of Creation myself, but one thing I do wonder, though, is about the crafting of the game. And I'm wondering that if some items that go through a whole materials in order to craft the items, now, are they going to be best in slots? Or is it going to be raid gears?
Yeah, the crafted stuff is supposed to end up being best in slot or near best in slot, depending on, obviously what exactly you're crafting, right? And where you got it from. But yeah, crafted stuff is supposed to be best in slot, short of the super rare, limited per server legendary stuff.
Yeah.
Which might be more powerful or add more interesting aspects that your crafted gear won't have. I guess the question, if you should have to network, also, I guess a clarification on that should be, should you have to network with other nodes to do top tier crafting at all? Which is, I thought, where the direction of the question was going myself.
It is. I mainly had a general beginning question, just as an icebreaker, and then leading further into deeper. But just because that is the way it is doesn't mean that that's people's opinions necessarily. So it's just kind of getting an opinion base.
I feel why make a huge map and then make it to where people could do everything in just one small part of the map and never have to leave, and they've wanted to make this whole, traveling matters. And then, if you could do everything in one node, which the way they've designed it, you can't, but if you could, I think that would take away from the game quite a bit.
Right.
No.
And Gandel says it bleeds into Caravans having to transport these goods so you can craft items at these nodes. I enjoy that idea of forcing Caravans through these systems, which is why I added Caravans onto the title or like the topics list, because I saw that being a part of it too.
Yeah. Well, see, then, Rive, but then that kind of begs the question with random player friction and whatnot. If there were some metros that kind of kept themselves because they could accomplish all their crafting needs in their own little zone of influence, they would be kind of oblivious to what's going on in the rest of the world until it came knocking at their door.
True.
In which case, they might not be prepared for whatever's coming to literally destroy their node and take it out and pop up another metro somewhere else.
Yeah, they wouldn't be getting that sweet, juicy intel, unless they got a bunch of spies or something going on. But
Yeah.
So in theory,
overall, we only have, as Rive mentioned, and also as does Revis mentioned, there may be a single metro that has 2 cities under it, but you can only Grandmaster 1 at a city and 2 at a metro. Now the next question is, since let's say a few of us here, or actually all of us here, are part of a guild or are a guild master of a guild. Now the 2 of you, Killer and Rive, you guys are a part of a guild where I believe you guys are both GMs, and then the rest of us, we're a part of Nexus. We're just members of it. So you 2 have the problem of like figuring out where you're gonna go, and then also like whoever's the mayor, if it's not one of you, does the mayor give you what you want? And then for us as members, does the guild, the chosen node that the guild chose, does that node give us what we want? And then there's that like politics of what I need as a player and what the node is providing me and where my guild is chosen to go.
Yeah, I think if you're a Grandmaster weaponsmith and your mayor doesn't put the Grandmaster weaponsmith station in, well, first of all, you're probably not going to get to Grandmaster unless you have a Grandmaster weaponsmith station. But let's say you're, Masters right below that. You're hitting Master and you're trying to go to Grandmaster, and they plop down instead of weaponsmith and armorsmith station. You might change nodes, and even though your guild leader could be the GM, right? So, so that could be interesting, right? You do have the two cities, each of which has 1 station. So, maybe the cities underneath that would have the station you need, possibly.
Yeah. The 20 potential total count.
Yeah, you've got the 20 within the vassal system, and then they've also talked about buffer nodes, which we don't know what level those can get to, but they've said you can only have 5 stage 6 nodes. I kind of get the feeling, and this is speculation, but I get the feeling that the buffer nodes could get to stage 5, which would give you 20 more Grandmaster stations, if that is in fact the case. But they've never said how high the buffer nodes get. But I think the buffer nodes are meant to go to stage 5 so that the buffer nodes are incentivized to siege the stage 6 nodes to become a stage 6 node themselves, and it generates natural friction. But that's just pure speculation. But that would give you more Grandmaster stations.
Yeah.
And here I always thought that the buffer nodes just wouldn't level at all.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
If they didn't get sucked into the zone of influence of a metropolis or what have you, just start to fade away into nothing.
Yeah, I want to know more about buffer nodes. He mentioned that when they kind of changed the vassal system, but he never expanded upon it. So if I ever get a chance to ask a question, buffer nodes is high on my list of things, because he just kind of threw it out there, and then I've just had that on my mind the entire time. What is that? What's that all about? They've never explained it. Yeah, tell me about it. I just want to know.
I love how he sometimes will just throw out some random idea or concept and then just never touch on it again.
Yeah. To be fair, nobody that I know and that I can recall actually has asked a question about it either. So
you've got 85 nodes, you've got 20 buffer nodes, so 65 can be in the vassal. But I just want to know more about the buffer aspect and what that is all about.
The do you thinks that it might be a non-vassal node, but otherwise completely the same as any other node?
Yeah, that's how I've kind of taken it, but
What?
it's a guess basically.
What I would like to know is if the node lock from leveling is only for the vassal nodes, and the buffer nodes have their own leveling system.
Well, so
Yeah.
here's why I thought that the buffer nodes wouldn't level at all, because in theory, if you have 2 metros, right, and their zone of influence comes to an end, and then there's, let's say, the buffer nodes happen to split between them. If they level up to 5, then you're going to have big metro, you're going to have little cities, towns, villages, etc., encampment, and then there's going to be level 5 nodes just drawing a line around the outside of a zone of influence. Just a line of level 5s.
It'd be kind of weird, yeah. I mean, because they would all be, yeah, that would be kind of weird.